Massive Homebase updates, new stuff. Excited because I finally got my electrical run. Well, not hooked up, but run. It was a bunch of back and forth, getting a correct cable length and all that kind of stuff from Lowe's, but we made it work. And I'm not gonna lie to you, very impressed with myself. This is a big job, and I didn't know where I was gonna end up. Just doing all this by myself. Keith, my brother-in-law, helped with the bed. But besides that, pretty much everything is my own doing. So, show you what we're at now. I'm not gonna show you inside the barn because I don't want to. Ended up coming out of the barn here with the electrical. You can see it kind of come down and go into there, running Ethernet with it. I wasn't going to do that because it's not the best practice to run Ethernet with electricity, at least in the same trench, just because of interference and stuff like that. But I have the cable. I got to fill this trench in. I want to run. I'm not even going to use it. I actually have like a Wi-Fi kind of high-end receiver in there, so I'm probably going to use that for my internet. But I just wanted to have a Cat 6 cable run just because it's easier to do it now. It ended up working really nice because if you see, come down here, give you an idea of the lay of the land. You can see that big hefty pipe there. That's obviously the electrical, and then that other pipe is the Ethernet. I didn't want to buy a conduit. I had to end up putting everything in a conduit. I couldn't direct bury because I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but this is all shale. That's not dirt. That is shale. So if I directed buried anything in this ground, it was going to cut through it like a hot knife through butter. So I ended up having to put stuff in conduit. Costs a little bit more, but it's what you got to do. And I didn't want to go out and buy more conduit for the Ethernet, so I was just going to say screw it. But a week or two ago, see all this random conduit sitting here, we tore down, it was over there in that corner over there, we tore down this old chicken coop, this kind of PVC chicken coop. It was my wife Liesel, her father, before he passed, built it for the chickens so they could bring the chickens out here and kind of let them kind of graze in a certain area. So it was kind of movable, but it was kind of beaten up and needed to be tore down. I tore it down and I'm like, wait a minute, there's all this tiny little PVC kind of floating around, let me use that. And then ended up working out perfectly because if you see, it was pre-bent. It's all in arcs because it was, kind of like a canopy. So it kind of waves in and out, so it's not directly parallel with the electricity. So I think that might work out. I pulled 2224 wire. That's 2-gauge wire, probably a little bit smaller than your pinky finger. 4 of those basically through this whole forsaken trench here. PVC glued it, all that kind of fun stuff. Let me jump over here. And ended up coming in over here, put in an LB. I'm doing this all DIY. I've never done this stuff before, so I don't know exactly like what's the best practices. And a friend of mine, Tom, he told me typically right here you put like it's a piece that kind of goes up and down because with the hot and cold, anytime you come out of the ground, it's best practices to do that because of a rigid structure. But he said I should be okay because this is not going into something. It's coming out of the ground and going to an LB. It's going to an LB over there too, so we'll see what's what. But both of those areas are actually accessible, like outside of the ground. So once we bury this trench, I'm not too worried about it. If it does fail or something happens, I could replace that pretty easily because we bring that along here and go into the barn here. I'm not going to tell you what, irrational fear. Putting a hole in something you just bought. I don't know why. I was just like freaking out the whole time. I'm like, I'm cutting a gigantic hole. And it's something I just bought. Why am I doing this? But I knew I was going to do it. Like I said, it's not a rational fear. It's an irrational fear. So show you the inside where we're at. Got a cheap little air conditioner unit for now. I'm going to put a split AC unit in, but I don't have the money for it right now. So we end up coming in through there. up into the electrical panel. Yeah. So I'm going to wire this sucker up probably today or sometime this week. Then I got to do the panel inside the barn. And I'm going to have electrician friend come out and inspect it and make sure it's good to go and I didn't do anything wrong. But he's been kind of guiding me along the way via my barber, actually. He's an electrician. And he's been kind of giving me the deets on what I should do and what I shouldn't do. As you can see, plywood and all the insulation ready to rock. And I don't know if I showed everybody that yet. I wired out the whole place. I'm pretty sure I should do that with the Ethernet and whatnot. And I already have my little kind of corner station. That's how the desk is going to look actually when it's done. Except it's not going to be on legs. It's actually going to be mounted to the wall. I'm going to refinish these in a dark walnut. I'm going to sand these down. Do these dark walnut. Do that all dark walnut. And, kind of add a little wood element to it. Already got me some paints. It's going to be like a grayish pewter purple is the walls with the white ceiling. And there we are. I'm pumped about the electrical part. This trench has been that's the linchpin for me. Just working out here, busting my ass, getting this done, and I finally got it done. I don't know if I mentioned in the previous one, kind of like Lowe's screwed me. They cut me too short a cable, and I had to go to 3 different Lowe's to remedy that. And once I got this pulled, that's kind of the biggest, heftiest part, because once I get this electrical turned on and functioning, I'm done with the outside. Essentially done with the barn. I did have to do some cleanup in the conduit that I put up there for the electrical, and then everything's in here. So then I can just exist in here and start banging out and putting up the insulation, putting up the drywall, painting, do all that stuff, and really just kind of hammering it and making it the way I want it. So there you go. Update, what is it, number 4 on the old Massif Homebase. So hopefully you guys enjoy these updates. I enjoy all this work doing it myself. It's kind of just all the realization, all the stuff my dad taught me when I was a kid, and a whole heaping amount of YouTube brush up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully we get this done sooner rather than later. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.